Twitch and Facebook and Periscope. YouTube. Hello, YouTube. This is Juggling Lessons. I am here with Reed Nice Wonder and Kimberly and Alex and our guest, Faisal.
Hello.
Tell me something you believe, something that's true in the world.
I believe religion causes more problems than it solves.
Okay, religion causes more problems than it solves. Does it solve any problems?
No.
Okay, it fails to solve any problems, but it causes many problems.
It pretends to solve some problems,
Okay.
but I believe those problems have been solved just by virtue of cooperative societies figuring out how to coexist.
So I'm hearing that religion takes credit for solving problems that are solved outside of religion.
That's right.
Okay. So what kind of problems does religion cause?
Religion causes people to believe in otherism and gives a basis for people to discriminate against others. And this discrimination ultimately can lead to death, but even when it's not as extreme as that, it just leads to more problems than it solves. And I believe it's given a free pass by a lot of the civilized world even, which is very surprising to me. And it has always confused me why people bend over backwards to accommodate beliefs that are contrary to what a cooperative society needs, or give religious entities tax breaks that they don't deserve or need, or use religion as a shield for siphoning money from the deserving to line the pockets of those who have plenty. And it also is used to force arbitrary structures in people's lives, and many times these are very damaging to growth and to fulfillment and to happiness. And for all these reasons, I quite detest religion, and I just wonder why more people don't see through it.
So that was a lot. That was a lot of good things.
Thank you.
I hear that for you it's difficult to understand why or how it is that people don't see it the way you see it.
Well, so if you look at history, we ascribe to God that which we could not explain.
Right. Yeah.
So
lightning must be Thor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had weather phenomena, geographical oddities, and these are God's creations. We give credit to God for this wondrous sunrise. And as we understood the rotation of the earth, God was removed from it or was moved to a higher level. Well, if we understand how the rotation of the earth leads to sunrise, well, who causes the earth to rotate? And if we understand, what is it called? The attraction of masses and therefore the planetary motions, then who created the planets? And you go beyond that, who created the Milky Way? Who created the galaxy, the universe?
Even Newton added a thing, and I don't know why, but God takes care of the part I don't understand.
That's right.
In Principia.
So, God is a very healthy catch-all to help us assuage our fears. But when we are no longer afraid of something, we should not be afraid to also remove God from the equation. And when it comes to human interaction and the suffering caused by one human being on another, in the name of God, we should not be afraid to step in and say, no, God has nothing to do with it. This is just you being greedy.
So it's a fear, maybe.
I think religion is fear-based.
People make the choice to...
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to call God of the gaps, I think is what you're describing.
God of the gaps,
that our fear causes us to put God in that gap, because I think we are afraid not to have confidence, not to have
the origin was fear-based, but I believe then man takes it a step further and uses God to justify inhumanity, or greed, or a negative, if you will. And once you have either legal or religious justification, you can proceed with things that you otherwise could not proceed with.
Right. Yes.
So I think religion's usurped for that many times and exploited, and it's just not necessary. I don't understand. Today we have technology, we have means of distribution, and we have means of dissemination of knowledge. So for people to do things that are clearly illogical or ludicrous doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand televangelism. I don't understand snake worship. I don't understand stoning of people, or killing, really. But as I said, killing happens in war, perhaps, or extreme cases. But there's a lot that happens long before the killing starts that also is just not. Meaning
a lot of bad that's not.
It's just it's not justifiable in today's society. So I don't understand why people don't take action. They might say things. There's a lot written about this. There's a lot of discussion, but when it comes to action, they step back and let the religious leaders still lead us astray, if you will. And the other day I was reading about a Jehovah's Witness case where a young woman is suing the Jehovah's Witness, and the previous similar cases like this have resulted in the Supreme Court stepping back and saying it's the purview of the church. And these Jehovah's Witness elders forced her to listen to a recording of her own rape when she was young. And she begged them to stop. They would not, and they subjected her to this torture. And this is now resulted in a case that's gone all the way to the Utah Supreme Court, I believe. And
I'm glad it's getting some sunlight shown on it.
We hope it will result in the court actually taking a stance. I hope. I don't know.
I hope so.
And of course, the lawyers for the young lady hope so too.
Of course.
But courts are quite adamant about their rights and privileges as well. And the churches are quite adamant.
Yes,
and
I'm going to say the courts are, but I'm okay with that.
Well, as long as justice is indeed just, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, in general. So on the claim that that religion causes more harm than good, this would be, I am completely convinced, and here would be, I barely think so. Where would you find yourself on this confidence scale?
100%, it's a crock of shit.
100% it's a crock of shit. Is there a sliver of doubt in there?
In the sense that religion can, not a sliver of doubt, but a sliver of hope, perhaps, in that some people use religion to do good things, and to the extent that they need that, fine, do good things. And if you need religion to justify your acts, by all means, so it can be a vehicle for good, but the Ten Commandments can easily be reflected in the laws of society and in common sense and in moral justice. So we don't need the Ten Commandments, but if you need the Ten Commandments to actually not steal or kill, then fine. Anything, any method, any mechanism by which you can be a decent member of society works for me. And if you need religion for that, great. So to that extent,
I think that falls into the category of things they claim that they've solved, that society also has perfectly good means to solve. But I do want to give credit for if they've inculcated somebody with the Ten Commandments and that keeps them from killing, stealing, murdering, whatever all those things are. I could recite them, but that's not important. That we want to laud them for doing the right thing, but we'd really prefer they not carry all that baggage. That's what I'm hearing.
Indeed. And,
okay. So hypothetically, you're already at 100, but maybe there's a sliver in there. Hypothetically, what could increase your confidence that you're correct? What kind of thing that you don't know today, you could learn this tomorrow, that would make you more sure? Or if you can't be more sure because you're already 100,
more sure. Oh, I see. So
what might be more convincing information? What kind of data would move you?
A society without religion also functioning successfully.
Okay, so
the absence of religion would show
society in the absence of religion, and it was successful and not falling into these same problems. That would increase your confidence. I like that hypothetical. That's very good. How about the other one? I was going to ask that. What could reduce your confidence? in your claim? What could slip you down to 90% or something? What kind of things could you see?
If I saw that society was a free, everybody for themselves, and those espousing religious values were the only ones holding back mayhem and chaos and anarchy, then I would say, yeah, there's some value to it. And
Nice.
there's a book called The Happiness Hypothesis, I believe. In it, the author says that people who are religious tend to live longer. And I didn't really look at the data that supports that, but I would take his word for it. And to that extent, perhaps it releases endorphins in our brain and reduces cortisol levels, whatever it does to increase our lives. If increasing time on earth is one of our goals, then I suppose religion is good for that, if it's true.
If that were the case, yeah.
And
right now, I assume that you don't have any data to think so.
I don't know, because I don't know that the planet can support a larger population. So we are programmed.
At some point, we're definitely approaching the limit, and maybe we're past the sustainable limit.
Quite possibly, we're going to blow up the planet just by virtue of living. I mean, so from that viewpoint, if you think of the whole planet as one system, then it's not a good thing to have things go out of whack. Everything needs to exist in a balanced ecosystem, and there must be a number for human beings, and we can change production of various life-sustaining things to change that number somewhat, but there has to be a limit, I believe.
Yeah. Just to brag, by the way, we are operating all electric today, and these batteries were all charged while I was running on solar power on my boat.
That's just great. That's just great.
That just happens to be, but yeah, we're with you on that.
Not to be a wet blanket, but there's a lot of data about how harmful it is to mine the minerals that
to make
used
the solar panels,
to make the batteries.
To make the batteries, yes.
Yeah, the lithium, I think, and so on.
Yes. Okay. So somebody asked from the crowd, if more people agreed with you, what would change in the world?
I think a lot of the abuses and excesses of the churches would go away. And by churches, I mean places of worship for all religions, the organizations behind all religions, not just Christianity, which I think is relatively benevolent compared to some others. But, whether it's Buddhist monks trying to kill off the Rohingya, or Muslims and the ISIS fanatics in the Middle East, I think their religious justifications will go away, and hopefully society will calm down a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Last question before I invite the reverse. Is there any question that you think I should have or could have asked that would help illuminate your position?
Not a question you could have asked, but you could have presented data that contradicts my assertions.
I could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
And that would go against street epistemology.
Okay.
That's one of the rules
Sure.
of this method, is that I'm not supposed to bring data that you don't bring, because this is not about changing your mind from what I bring. If you change your mind, it's going to be your own fault, because you brought the data, you laid it out on the table, and you said, my confidence is not in proportion to my data, and so I must adjust my confidence or look for more data or something.
Sure. If you have not really, I'm not saying that I've thought this through 100%, but I think you can change your mind easily if a slight examination of your beliefs leads to contradictions that you've not addressed. So I haven't found any contradictions, and I've been thinking about this for a long time. So I don't know that you could have done anything to change my mind without presenting data to the contrary.
Very good.
I believe in science and logic and all that. So certainly, if you have data to prove that religion leads to peace and religion leads to harmony and a better standard of living, if you will, then I'd love to see that data.
I have only one data point that religion leads to peace, and that's somebody who is a Jain. Do you know of the Jains?
Of course, yeah.
I'm
from India. So
yeah, of course. That's Hemant Mehta, who is a YouTuber called The Friendly Atheist. And he was a Jain and still is a vegetarian. And still
I was going to say very militantly vegetarian.
You almost have to be. You don't really have to leave Jain to be an atheist. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's I believe it's the Jains. There's a belief in there where they give up all their worldly goods, including their clothes.
Oh wow!
And then they embark on a life of asceticism. You know, with just a pot that they can use to beg for food and water with. And I've seen 2 or 3 of these people in India, completely naked, walking the streets, and you know, they're respected and given their space. You know, you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
very much,
right?
Yeah.
And
I see it in a pyramid, and I read it from the bottom up.
Right, and at the very top is transcendentalism, and,
Yes.
and they must have transcended to some place where they don't need clothes, they don't need or worldly trappings, if you will.
Okay.
And you know, you wonder about that. So there's also minimalism.
Yeah.
I like minimalism, but minimalism can be expensive, and you know, it's not.
That's
not
irony.
Yeah,
Minimalism
it's not.
could be expensive. Wait, what?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really interesting. But what I'm saying is that it can be very pretentious, and it's not a way to transcendentalism. It's just a design movement, if you will. And it's very interesting to me to see these people. There's a monk who seems to only feed on sunlight. There's some people who don't need sleep. There's yogis who
I doubt the only live on sunlight.
Yeah,
I doubt that.
No, they have cameras on him. They have people around him, and he doesn't eat anything.
Wow.
And yet, you know, he's all skin and bones, but he's not dead. Interesting. And there are people in history I've read about who have been able to slow down their heartbeats. And so there's a lot we don't know.
Is there a benefit to that? To not eating?
Well, yeah. We
not running out of food, but I mean,
no, the benefit. So our lives typically are a journey of effort or minimizing effort to still sustain life, right? So we all want a house. We work really hard, and then you decide, do you really want to work for a house? Do you buy here, or do you buy here where it's cheaper?
Yeah.
And so in the old days with barter system, it was very easy. How far did you trek, or how hard did you fight for something to acquire it somehow?
Yes.
These days, we translate everything to money as a medium of exchange.
Yep.
But again, how much effort do you expend to earn money, and what is your earning power is a driving question for the majority of the world, right? And food costs money.
Yes.
Shelter costs money. All the basics and Maslow's hierarchy of needs cost money today. So you have to have that if you subscribe to that. And these people have escaped from that, right? And the whole reason for technology is to minimize effort to produce more, to minimize. I don't know about capital resource as well, but I suppose ultimately we translate everything to money. So
we can anyway. Yes,
Yeah.
there are other ways around, but it's effectively the same.
I'm talking about
trade, money.
I'm talking about trade
effort
and production.
Yeah.
So in commerce, everything that is the medium of exchange or measurement of value, right? So if you can produce a good cheaper in China, that's where you go and set up your factory.
Yeah.
So if you don't need to produce food, or if you don't need to acquire food, and still sustain the same life, it would be good. I mean, that's why
really good.
That's why we exercise. Well, it gives pleasure, of course, but also it's supposed to lead to a healthier life, less medical costs.
Okay.
We use cars and we don't have to walk 10 miles, which is it's strenuous, right?
Yes.
So it's all about minimizing effort, maximizing productivity or pleasure or utilities. Ultimately, it's some economics term is called utils, right? So
yes,
you can measure that in terms of pleasure or enhanced productivity. Whatever.
So during street epistemology, I'm very careful to not argue for an alternate position.
Sure.
But I also don't want to hide behind neutrality. So
yes, I was going to say that's the other thing.
At this point, I'm totally happy for you to ask me any questions, and I'll be clear and honest with you about my position.
So what is your take on my opinion about the uselessness of religion?
I'm 95%.
Oh, okay. Pretty much aligned with that.
I'm very much aligned, and And in this case, I'm not quite as convinced as you are, but who cares? Slight difference.
You're not quite as convinced as me about what?
About that religion. I think I could find some narrow, tiny examples where, in some contexts, religion might do more positive than negative. I might have to go to the Jains to make that happen, and I'm not really sure. And I think it's a contextual situation. I'm 95% that you are.
So
correct.
context is really important, and my context is somewhat unique. I went to a boarding school that was run by missionaries, the Christian missionaries in India. So I was brought up in a very Western environment with a lot of Christian values.
Yes.
And I'm from a Muslim background.
Okay.
And so I have deep respect for the work they did, but I also saw the fanaticism, and I saw the reliance on religion. So at a practical level, they might have done some good, but I wonder about the psychological long-term scars of religious indoctrination and the chanting and singing every Sunday and the almost, I don't know what you call it, but it was like cult-like, and so it's very hard to find to weigh one's benefits versus disadvantages, if they're on different planes. One is an immediate short-term benefit of programming a kid not to steal. That's great. But then there's the long-term disadvantage of fear of God's wrath and retribution on anything.
Huge.
And that really damages a lot of people.
It
so
does.
And it's hard to gauge.
It took me a long time. Yes, please.
Humans are very much about externalities and internalities.
No, free, absolutely free. Yes.
So we are concerned about that which affects us directly and completely oblivious to what's going on in some other corner of the world or some other person even near us, right? So it's very hard for humans to empathize with that which they're not experiencing themselves. And with religion, you have to think about the effects it is having on the person psychologically, as well as the immediate benefits it's possibly showing to an obvious man.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I grew up in a somewhat similar situation in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
In a fundamentalist Christian missionary school, Protestant, Southern Baptist. So my parents were staff.
How fundamentalist?
Highly racist. If you know Southern Baptist, you'll know that that's kind of on one extreme of the spectrum.
Yeah. Do you still talk to your parents?
My father's dead now, and I do not have contact with my mother on purpose. It's been probably about 5 years.
Is it because of this?
Maybe, though, if you were to ask, I would say it's because of kind of a narcissistic personality disorder that I think she has, and that leads to bad interaction pretty consistently over many years. And then I decided for my own mental health to minimize my contact with her. I would take her phone call. I wouldn't say, no, I'm not going to talk to you, but I'm not going to reach out. And
so there's that's an illustration of what I'm trying to say about, look at the harm this possibly religion colored this. And most people would say that, a son not talking to his mother or maintaining a relationship with her is a negative.
I would think so. Yeah. Right? I would think it'd be great. And I think were it not for her religious position, the other things could be fixed. But her religious position makes her extremely closed to new information and extremely resistant to learning that she is wrong about anything.
Right.
And I think that's
actually
the issue.
Yeah, that's actually a root problem with religion, is that it gives you an invisible omnipotent authority to make whatever claim you want. And I agree with you totally that I think this is an illustration of a net negative, even though you could have said as a young kid growing up, you had a good set of values that religion imbibed in you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
I did too.
Appreciate it. I invite you to take one of those three, please. Yes.
Okay.
It's an obvious bribe for you to come back for more conversations to get the other two if you wanted to. If you collected such things.
I'll go get a drink and maybe I'll think about it.
Absolutely. And we even have two other epistemologists here who are interested to interview you. So
I did
you don't even have to talk to me.
No, I enjoyed talking to you, but I did. You had something brought up. I think you had said that. I forget in the context, but it just reminded me of Trump and evangelical people's support of him, and what he espouses is so contrary to basic Christian tenets, and yet Christians laud him. Many so-called Christians, and that's a fake religion or fake wearing of religion on your sleeve. And I don't think it's religion at all. I think it's a dogma and it's ignorance masquerading as religion. So that really bothers me too.
I find Trump a real enigma in my mind because, so I'm reading a book, The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. And in there, he shows data, it's not just his opinion, it's a lot of sociological data that conservatives hold these 6 values as important moral foundations: care, loyalty, liberty, authority, purity, and fairness. And I think that Trump does not belie. Right, Trump does not do the purity thing. He's a germaphobe, but that doesn't really count. The fairness, no, he thinks cheating is clever.
Yeah.
So fairness, he doesn't want anything to do with fairness. Caring for people, he doesn't want anything to do with that. How is it that people that are so clearly pigeonholable by holding these 6 things can follow him when he so clearly does not hold 3 of their important values? It's strange to me. It's almost as if a big chunk of his base have decided, no, liberals primarily care about fairness, care, and what was the other one? I guess authority. Those pretty much, like progressive liberals, those are their 3. And he seems to be absolutely opposite on those 3. So he is the anti-liberal, but not really a conservative. And yet the conservatives just snatch on him. I don't understand that.
I think partially their stance is anything but liberal. So they will go for whatever is opposing the Democratic ticket, no matter who it is.
Yeah. If it
I don't know.
that makes
every
sense.
time you try and understand them, there's something shows up that totally blows up your understanding, and it's just illogical. So you're trying to use logic to make sense of it, right?
I don't get it. I'm just really happy he's not in my leadership in 21.
They say it's ignorance, and then you find all these college-educated people voted for him. They say it's misogyny, then you find all these women voted for him.
Yeah.
They say it's white supremacy, and then all these black people have voted for him. So
I think if white women were the only ones voting, he'd still be in.
I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's wow. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Which one of you is next on the chair?
Which chair?
This one.
This. Okay.
Let's assume that I am infectious and ill.
Yeah. You want to move the table?
If you're gonna take my turn. So maybe let's do that. What is that?
Okay, let's move to the pole.
Okay, and very good. Move to the pole. How about I grab one end of the table?
Wait, I gotta unhook the sign from
Yeah, how about I grab one end of the table, somebody else grabs the other end, and then two other people grab these cameras.
Yep. Oh, that's connected.
We're going to disconnect sound for a moment.
Is there anything good? Okay.
Should all be operating on batteries.
Yeah, I'm just worried about a cord.
Starting conversation.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was just fantastic. Okay.
I wonder what made him pick that topic.
His opinions and his history. Okay, but that was too easy an answer.
Have we watched this yet?
I have not watched that one yet. Oh, we're reversing the angle of that.
Well, we can move it maybe somewhere.
Right on the other side?
Yeah, it's too sunny on the
I kinda
opposite.
like it facing the IL. We have plenty of views. We're facing the locator. Okay.
I think that was approved.
I like it. And he's the director.
Thank you.
Yeah, so sit down. Yeah. And let me give you the tour of this.
Okay. Oh dear.
Okay. So this side is your main choices. And you can see the output here. Right now it's on wide read. That's this one. That's that camera right there.
Hmm.
If you go to title, it would show what we're doing. If you go to ultra wide, that's over here, which isn't actually wider than that one in the moment. Usually it's further away. So we just call it ultra wide. Face-to-face read style is this. Notice the cordial curiosity kind of layout. And there's an option where you can throw in. There's the gray background. Where's the
Oh, dear.
blue? I'm not seeing it. All right, that's
You
okay.
just turned it blue, so.
You just did. Yeah. So now we have a 3 vertical. Right now you can't see all 3. Yes?
What if you put the headset on? FK talks and you can't hear him.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Does it matter which year?
it doesn't actually, because we are pretty much monoral. Okay, so if somebody's speaking to us from the Discord, we'll pop up the Discord in between here as a 3 vertical. So that's good for there. And then a wide F2F is my favorite. We're using that wide, plus we have a little speech bubble with the other 2 cameras in place. I like this one the best.
Okay.
Yep, and Reed likes that one the best.
I
And you can like whatever you like. You have control. Now, within each of theirs, like this speaking thing, so if somebody speaks in Discord, their name will show up.
Okay.
If that's on.
It's the read frame for the color change, you said.
Read frame.
Yeah.
That one there. Very good. Thank you. Custom scale. Like, for example, he was 100%. So that's what it is last. If you type in here any number, because you're under my name, you're a production team member, it will adjust that scale.
Nice.
As usual in the thing, if you type dash and then something, like dash, SOMBTHING, tink, dash tells the bot to bring up these things. And if a production team member, and you are because you're here, votes it up, it will pop up, and then we can have the claim. I think that's claim read.
So
Okay, I'm going to turn off the scale so you, because they're overlapping. You'll see something.
Yeah.
So we can type their claim, or somebody else can, and we can vote it up, and then it'll show up on the screen.
Oh,
That's how that's done.
I'll try to remember that.
You don't need to at all. Don't need to at all. So, until we have an interlocutor.
All right.
Howdy. May I have a yellow when somebody gets a chance? Mind Onion, Alex.
Yes. Hello.
How did you get into street epistemology?
Well, street epistemology actually got me into a lot of things. The way I got into it was I would watch a lot of the. I had already decided I was an atheist for a very long time,
Okay.
but I wasn't vocal about it. I didn't really talk to anybody about it. Like, it was just something I privately held, and it didn't affect anything. But I would watch a lot of the videos that you would get from like Aaron Ra and those people.
Yeah.
And of course, Anthony did the video with Aaron Ra.
Yeah.
And that introduced me to Anthony. And I was like, this guy's doing something very, very different.
Yes.
And I really liked what he was doing, because my biggest problem with all of the stuff that was going on in those communities was like people get into like fights.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't like a physical altercations necessarily, but it was very like verbal sparring matches. And it just, like, everybody ended up not liking each other at the end. And what Anthony was doing was, people didn't end up hating each other at the end, which was really left an impression on me. And that got me to thinking like I could do this. And I was at a point also in my life where I wanted to try to meet more people. I didn't know many people, and I felt kind of isolated socially. And so I was like, hey, this is a great way for me to also talk to people and not have it end up in a fight where people hate each other at the end. And so that all dovetailed together, and I was like, all right, I'll try doing this. And so then I got involved with more atheism, activism stuff and other things like that through street epistemology. And
fantastic.
So,
Aaron, if you're paying attention to this, looking at that first video, at least then you really sucked at SE. And that's not a bad thing. And frankly, if for you to become good at SE would make you less of a scrappy fighter on our side, don't do it. It's okay. We've got enough SE people. I would not want to lose one of our favorite, scrappiest debaters. Do your thing. Stay doing your thing. You're awesome. And if you want to do SE, you're fine. You're totally welcome to do so. And as long as it doesn't detract from your main gig. Anyway, that's my message to Aaron if you're listening. Yeah, I really honor Aaron.
Yeah,
I like his.
He has a unique way about him.
Yeah, yeah. I also love how fast he can rattle off those things, which which he has learned as practice things like magical anthropomorphic immortal. Oh, it becomes, if I try to speak as fast as he does with those things, it's a tongue twister. I can't even. And people tell me to slow down speaking. it's great stuff.
Yeah, I think when you're doing this stuff, as long as he has, you've memorized so many things, and it's just like, how can I just get this information out as quickly as, because I've done this so many times. And I think you see that with the more experienced and older ones. That, they've done this a while, and they just, like, I mean, Doug is, I'm a big fan of Doug.
Oh, Pine Creek.
He is very explicit about him not liking the what he calls boring, where they've gone over, he's been over this stuff so many times.
Totally. Yeah, I guess when I'm training people in SE, especially on the weekends, I warn people against a lot of things that Doug is allowed to do. Pine Creek is allowed to do those things because it's like a chess player. Until you're really good, no, the answer is you do not move F3 or F6. You just don't make that move. When you're a chess master, you understand you're allowed to move F3 or F6. You can do that. And if you don't know what I mean, don't worry about it. It's just a good rule of thumb. Don't make the F3 or F6 move. Anyway, howdy. We are doing interviews today. Would you like to be interviewed today?
Yeah,
no? She would love it.
She's saying no.
I'm gonna clear the seat and clean this thing.
No. So it's being streamed live to the internet right now.
Yeah, we're on live stream in the moment.
Hello, internet.
Yeah, that's the main one. Cordial curiosity. That's from Blade Runner, right?
I only saw Blade Runner
No?
once. I'm afraid. I don't remember.
Sounds very Vangelis to me. So, is anybody speaking in Discord? Things we should
somebody
respond
said
to?
hello. I'm saying hi
Hello
back.
to Discord.
Hi, Discord. I guess it's today. Hi, looking at the camera.
Sure, yeah. You can look up at the camera. They can hear you plenty well. So I'm going to grab some juggling balls and stand out in front and try to attract some people to an empty seat.
Oh, yeah.
And you can interact with Discord, talk with them, type to them as you like. Yeah.
Hello to the people on YouTube and Twitch.
His remote microphone is on 2. And so if he wants
This
to use
microphone?
it, go there.
Testing this microphone. What up, what up?
Notice
Testing,
that there's like a
testing.
0 line.
It should work.
That's the nominal. That gives you a little.
I'm on Twitch, so I'm on a
break it down
delay.
if you want.
So I'll see myself in a second.
Are you hearing him okay?
Sounds good.
I hear him, yeah.
How far away can I walk? I'm gonna walk over here. I'm going to test.
Still good.
Testing. Hello. Hello. So, this is such a nice spot. We're here in San Diego today.
Oh, darn. I'm not juggling today. We left my juggling balls behind.
Oh. That's unfortunate.
Come on, video.
You can juggle the puzzle
Come on,
pieces.
video.
Oh, I see. I don't know how to
Is the
juggle.
video-
I'm afraid.
Video stuck.
Yeah, the really light is like juggling cards. If you're an actual juggler,
Okay,
somebody
so I'll
tries
just
to
sit
keep
back
juggling
here.
cards, it's the same motion, but it's an unreasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I see. You get used to a certain amount of weight, and you know.
The speed of the actual throw, you get very used to 9.81 meters per second.
Makes sense.
I'm sure I could adapt to 9 or 12, but four is hard.
Okay, how can I be more in line with the stream? I'll go on Discord, not Twitch.
Hi there. We're doing interviews today. Free speech and free lunch.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, this should be good.
I suggested that, but
I did get the remote link.
Reed says he did get the remote link. Oh,
I'm
okay.
on Discord now.
Everybody can hear
It's
each other.
probably better.
That's good.
And I have like a good delay. The weatherman camera? Oh.
Free water.
So let me see how this looks. Not bad. It should be working good. Yeah, good. Well, I will be my introvert self and wait for people to sit down. My face is being blocked. Pretty old.
Another of our San Diego regulars.
How old is this phone player was? It's like a Pokemon. Great Scott. How old?
Yeah, looking at him, he could have gone to school. About my age. It is possible to teach an old dog
Good. Oh, Extinction Rebellion.
What's up?
Want to chat about Extinction Rebellion? We'd love to ask questions. Those are like,
What's an extinction?
He didn't hear you.
oh well.
I'm not familiar with the Extinction Rebellion. What is that?
Yeah, me either.
Is that a band?
You haven't heard of that?
I have not heard of it.
Well, they're mainly in the UK. They are like environmental activists
Oh,
who use very strange activism tactics, like dressing up on like they dress up in costumes and weird stuff and do weird kind of
It's a environment paper.
yeah. I've only seen clips online. They also last year kind of did a sit-in on like a public square somewhere in London when I was there, and yeah, they're very interesting people.
Students in public square on green paper. Especially if they did it with a permit, because I'm so anti-authoritarian. I like protesting without a permit.
oh. Do you protest required insurance?
No. You know, when you look at steelman extreme positions, it gets harder and harder to not see everything as a moderate position.
Yeah, I could.
I end up being kind of middle of the road on most things. If I can steelman both sides. So which things to yell and scream about? I don't know. These days, I'm much more interested in spending my time and effort engaging people in critical thinking.
Yeah.
How's the echo? It's good for me. It's my echo. it's not stroke-inducing echo. Hello. Would anyone like to do an interview?
Tell us your opinion, please. Oh,
Interview opinions on these?
anything else?
It could be those things or anything you choose.
Yeah, just
Anything.
Those are just
do you have opinions? Do you want to tell the internet about your opinions?
They're all great topics. I just don't mentally.
We'll be here all day, so
Yeah, I might come back.
Yeah.
it's hot out here in the sun. I'm very proud of my little shade here. I'll have to get a picture of that.
How many people are in Discord? I don't know if I can see that from here. Oh.
If I stand here, it's more shady. Star Wars people. Amazing. May the force be with you. Or that's not good for Sith people. Well, it's same. This is the way.
The spice must flow.
Hello.
It's true.
Are these clean?
yes.
Okay. Should I just sit down and chat with Manlingen?
That's fine.
How do you kill this mic?
Unplug.
Which slider?
Yeah.
I'd rather not put on the headphones.
Oh, okay. You can hear through the earpiece?
Won't be in the master recording, but in the recording on that channel, it may still be recorded.
Great.
It's pre-made, pre-created, all that stuff. Pre-EQ that's recording the individual channel.
Good, good. Thank you. I'm back to my CGP gray shirt. Would you like to do an interview?
Please tell us your opinions.
Hello.
Good job with your pictures.
Free water.
Maybe I should put the thing.
We have a lot of foot traffic. How does the foot traffic compare to LA?
Much better.
Oh, okay. But just nobody is interested in talking.
3 times Echo Park.
Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of the museums had been shut down because of the virus just recently, but it doesn't seem to have affected the foot traffic at all. If anything, it's more when I saw it before. So.
Really?
I mean, not before COVID, but before like a couple weeks ago when I
Wow.
looked at everything. Yeah. If we put out a position on something, people will come to disagree with us. That's. It's, I think that's one of the laws of the internet. I forget which one it's called, but asking people questions versus saying things that are wrong, people will respond more quickly. There's a name for it though. Somebody, it's like one of those. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, exactly like that, but not that one. People are sooner to correct than they are to answer questions.
Is this good to have two people sitting down?
I don't know. That I think might discourage people, but at the same time, it's like a balance between the dead air, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not good at filling the dead air.
Me either.
Can air be dead?
And now that we're producing a show, it'd be nice to have like. Oh, really? There seems to be another event going on or something. They're just hanging out. Okay.
I'll provide you.
That's funny.
Free water, even for your puppies.
Oh, okay.
Level up.
You want an ice cream later on? It's too much sugar.
Free water.
Pardon me?
Free water.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You guys want a water? Thank you very much.
You bet.
She's playing Pokemon. I think.
Apparently, it's a Pokemon event today. I guess. I don't know.
She's playing Pokemon.
We could set up one of those Pokemon things. I don't know if you can still do that. They used to be able to like set up some location where like lots of Pokemon would appear.
Yes.
You'd set that up right on top of the table.
It has to be jump.
If you do incense, does that draw it for other people? No.
Ah.
A lure would. Okay, so you have something to do that. Okay.
I know people have done that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. All my partners except me play Pokemon.
Yeah, I haven't played it either in the not the Go.
But she can tell you all about it.
I used to play when it was back on the Game Boy. Yeah.
So be careful to avoid learning enough about it because I'm obsessive enough that if something distracts me, I can only really have one obsession at a time, and I choose this one this year.
This year. The year's almost over.
Yeah.
I don't think the ultra wide is working.
At least 9 more months.
Oh. All right.
Wide? That's working.
I set my channel up to achieve its goals in 12 months.
Are you on track to achieve them?
Very much so, yes.
That's good.
Today is my
It is.
121st video, if I'm counting right, since July. Which is
Hello.
one a day. Which is odd since I don't do any other work. Typically, it's gonna be
It
less
breaks
than
the
5
stream?
Mm.
We'll have the live stream, and then I'll have the chunk individual. So really, it's not much. So like one video is good.
What does that mean?
It says the ultra wide breaks the stream for some reason. Is that
I think it's just lagging.
Breaks the screen, he says.
no stream?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ultra-wide breaks the screen.
Is it working now?
How many people?
As I can see. Oh. Oh, okay. It's
Oh,
good
the
now.
stream itself is
It's
even though the audio still
from
works?
it's because when they switch to it, it apparently freezes things for briefly, and it's just a artifact of how it works. Am I understanding correctly?
Free water.
Oh. Oh. They're saying it's just that
Connected my
camera for
wire.
some reason.
And that I've connected the wide and the ultra wide to the local Wi-Fi here.
Oh, it's on the local Wi-Fi. Maybe that's why. Reed said that just now.
Is it?
It's super fast
That was
here.
on the local Wi-Fi. Why is it not on my?
I don't know.
Fast.com. It's 13.
I do not have a free phone.
24 megabytes. 25.
Ah.
I don't know what the upload is.
Yeah, 4 cameras definitely takes at least 3 data.
Yeah.
I did that.
Mostly I've been finding that about 3 of those away video streams.
More information.
Data cost of 1.
Yeah, the park provides free Wi-Fi.
And audio.
Come to San Diego. Maybe not now.
Upload
It's
speed
COVID.
is 0. Oh, wait. No, it's doing it again.
What was the
40,
site?
33,
Fast.com.
25.
I might be on T-Mobile for one of this. That I just got a notification 2 days
19.
ago. That phone, 13 days, the one closest one, 13 days into its plan. So
Yeah.
2 gigabytes. Which is the same where we're on track
13.
for 300 gigabytes per month,
13.
which is kind of nuts.
Is it better quality now, less pixelated?
How is it now?
Free water.
Doing some interviews.
I think that's our saxophone.
Oh, the saxophone.
So it is.
Is it? Is Jeff still over
Oh,
there?
you might be getting food.
Might be going to the bathroom.
There's bathrooms in these buildings. You guys-
I should learn those harder for their reports.
We're typically down farther, but I think
Would you like
if
to do an
go
interview?
Free water.
It froze as soon as it changed. That's what, I guess Reed can see this too on his.
Does it have to reconnect every time I go to that scene? Maybe so. Maybe so.
Well, at least those bells are in public domain.
Those bells remind me of when I
Copyright.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you like to do
I didn't
an
even
interview?
think about that because people do play music a lot.
They do.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, things seem okay right now. I hope YouTube doesn't come after you.
Oh, it should be fine.
Okay.
So when it's happened, they've just said this company has claimed all of the monetization rights to the video. They're not even asking me to take it down. They are saying things like, if you mute this section or clip out this section.
Oh, they're that specific.
Yes. They'll
Oh.
tell me which seconds contain this music and what the music title is and who the company is that owns and licenses that music, and that any monetization that would come would go to them. I'm unconcerned. I don't have my channel monetized and don't intend to. I'm really happy that YouTube is willing to host a fat library of cheap to relatively few subscribers. My goal in this is to end up being able to playlist out a bunch of really good examples. So I'll try to pick the best examples, but I'll leave it all up because I had this misapprehension before 2020 that Reed and Anthony and Ty and all the others were cherry picking the best 10 or 15% of their videos.
Well, I mean,
And they are to a degree. And so I assumed that there was a high proportion of Prado. That turns out not to be the case.
yeah. It usually goes pretty well. I mean, from my experience in person without cameras, like I have a feeling that all the setup somewhat
I'm sure it changes.
it decreases turnout for sure. I think.
Thermometer?
I'm sure it does. It also probably self-selects
Yeah.
a lot of the people in terms of their.
Oh,
we're only going to get the people the most.
This went dark. Actually, they both did.
You can just rub it.
Just rub it.
You touch it.
Any opinions on those topics?
If not, you can press the button on the top to the most left.
Doing interviews
This
if you'd like to be.
Here or here.
We're just doing a quick walk. Right.
Oh.
And then stripe up.
We'll
Straight
be here all
up.
day.
Okay.
In your back.
Okay.
That's just the timeout. I'm usually touching it or typing more often than that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to.
You don't need to.
Okay.
You can. It's so tight and talk to the crowd. It's even kind if you read aloud their comments. It could be that simple. Because then you're conversing with them directly, and do respond to them.
Hello.
You're the only one who can see it who's got a mic,
Yeah.
so that becomes you.
But then, yeah. Hello again, Discord.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on one of these fine people walking by to tell us what they think about
Free
anything.
water. I don't know why this is. I don't really have a theory.
My
But I
board
know
is
that
crooked.
above a certain walking level, the line
It's
goes
getting
down.
deformed.
Oh yeah. I mean, walking with a person.
Something. Well, I mean, there's a level of traffic you could get fewer people stopping rather than more, which you would think would be the normal trend. If you can put this in people, then you get
The wide shot
twice
seems
as many
fine.
people as you can twice as many. No? Oh. I don't even have a hypothesis for that. I just check it out.
Hello.
It's probably not a great hand, so I shouldn't have very much confidence.
It's fun to see how the different groups tried to rope people in.
Yes.
Because we when there's no COVID going on, we have like an atheist group and there's like 3 Christian groups, and they're all different. They're different Christians. They all disagree with each other to some extent. But yeah, they all have their own methods.
Uh-huh. Read if you find my calling out to people disruptive to whatever you're doing, just tell me to stop.
I don't know.
Water. Stay hydrated.
I think we have some.
Good. Oh, you got a whole bunch. Good job. Free water.
Any opinions on these topics?
Any opinions on anything? Do you feel strongly about anything?
To have your ideas scrutinized.
Oh dear.
This is the ultra.
So many people.
As far as I can tell, it looks to be. Yes. Let me just reset it.
How's the ultra wide now? Is it improved any?
Yes. Yes.
Discord?
Is
No,
it super
the
dark?
ultra wide is still.
So that we don't have overlap with chat. I'm going to go back to Discord.
Hello.
Camera artifacts.
Give up.
FK is suggesting giving up on the ultra wide.
Hold on.
He says, "Hold on."
We're still finishing. You what? Go ahead.
Because you're all dark in there.
What's wrong?
He's trying some different things because there was some glitching. So, is this currently running on Rainbow connection or the local Wi-Fi? Okay. So I suggest before we give
Now
up
it's
on
good?
we switch it back to my local Wi-Fi.
He just said it's good.
Is the wi? It's all good now?
At least for the moment.
Is that what I'm hearing? It's
Cellular communication.
Okay.
Hold still. Hold still.
there is a wireless microphone.
Sex
Hi.
guys back.
Not even a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to tell us
Any
their
opinions?
about anything, it'd be great. None of these people have opinions, apparently.
Maybe.
The cart's attached to the
Does it still work over here? I think so.
House.
What is your sunscreen status? What is your sunscreen?
0. Okay.
Looking at the very young lad across the way, noting his insulation.
What?
Boat.
A boat?
And I'm not trying to name
Oh no, that's a trumpet or a trombone or a tuba. One of those.
Are these umbrellas doing anything?
There's shadows. So they are doing something. They're blocking something.
until January 21st.
The sun is completely blocking it.
To name that instrument. I'll call it the non-French horn. To name that instrument.
The non-French horn?
Yes, I will refuse to name that instrument.
Oh,
Yes, until after January 20th. That is
okay.
until after January. I'm kidding.
What significance does?
Trump.
Oh.
It's a Voldy toot.
It'll be over soon.
Yes, I know. I'm sort of making fun.
Oh my gosh.
I like that a lot. Yeah, we're actually putting a little sun on it.
Yeah, that's glared up my forehead on the camera quite a bit. Yeah, not everybody is comfortable discussing their beliefs on camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm out here without the camera set up, it's we also put it forward our some a position, so maybe that also influences it. People.
It is
Religious
perfectly
ones.
acceptable if you think that would improve things for us to do that. It's not our usual format, but we're adaptable.
Is that one of our questions on the?
Yeah,
You don't want me to
that's
write
an
it.
open thing, yeah.
Nobody will be able to read it.
If you'd like, I'll write it.
Opinion?
What is the thing to write?
Should we?
Should we teach religion?
Some of the Christians down there will have strong opinions on that if they show up. That's one of our groups. There's actually a creationism museum here in San Diego.
What is it? So, should we teach religion in schools?
Anything at all. Don't. This is just suggestions.
What? It's almost gone.
I mean, I think that there's some topics that I'm not thrilled about talking about that I think would cause a lot of people to talk though.
Like what?
Oh, like the diet ones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Would you like to do a quick interview?
Happy to talk to you about this.
Oh, dude.
Sure.
And I don't want to put any pressure on you either.
Is this
Did we get to demote? Maybe we can
Oh, ask.
Ask the group
Yeah.
which of these you can hold it.
Oh, okay.
You get to be Vanna.
Yes. Which of these should be swapped out for this one, if any?
Put it up to the wide. Can you guys see it now? That's not the wide.
That's the ultra wide. The wide is there.
The ultra. Okay. That,
Wide is
Why isn't
there.
this
Ultra
working?
wide is there. I know it's not very ultra.
if you
Free water.
go
and
up,
free speed.
maybe. Oh,
Pick
there it
any
is.
two. No, one. Either one.
oh, it's gone. And the business cards. Do you guys have opinions on anything?
Nice.
Anything at all? Not even this stuff.
And you can set the time.
He was right around.
I appreciate it, but
We can work to a schedule.
oh yeah.
That's okay. We even have translators.
Oh,
Yes. Our producers.
You're gonna-
6 languages before he can speak.
You're gonna make me SE in a different language? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh,
I speak perfect Spanish.
Cool.
I don't.
Combine the two and I just consciously have no idea how
That wouldn't bother me at all. Totally perfect.
I appreciate it though. Thank you.
now I have shade. Aha.
Yes. It's a great little space of salt station. And hopefully the tech isn't getting hot.
Hello. How's it going? Are we blocking the path? Hello.
People complain, then I think that's when there's an issue. long as everybody's fine with it, you're fine.
I don't see how to do it. Hello.
We got this. Is it okay? Yes.
I should ask that straight away.
I'm sorry?
What do you mean, should religion be taught in schools?
I am so thrilled.
Like in public schools? Is that an issue?
There is a creationism museum here in San Diego.
That's a private organization, right?
Yeah.
So
I
how
assume.
does that relate to schools teaching?
Well, I mean,
religion?
that's usually an issue that group has. They want
It's an issue who has?
that group of Christians has. The creationists, they typically want it is taught as a rival to evolution.
Some Christians don't want the other Christians to teach creationism?
Well, that's also true, but that wasn't what I was trying to express.
What are you saying?
Uh,
I'm hearing you like 2 seconds after.
oh, I apologize.
That's fine.
There's a group of Christians that want creationism taught. I mean, you have to be familiar with this, right? Yeah.
Yes. I know, yes.
Okay.
It seems like they have lost the battle of teaching creationism in schools.
Some of them here, at least, still fight.
They're still fighting.
I don't know how popular it is among the general public, but there's at least one group of Christians that pre-COVID set up here. That was they set up because over
was the main
there,
thing.
right over there is the Museum of Science, and they would set up right in the corner, right nearby.
Oh, the Natural History Museum?
That's the science one. There's a history.
science museum.
Yeah, there's a history museum. There's an art museum. They're all around you.
Wow.
There's actually a train museum, a model train museum. I think it's over there.
A model train museum?
Yeah,
Awesome.
We got all sorts, but most of them are closed because of COVID.
Okay.
Welcome to Balboa Park. We also have a very impressive zoo nearby.
Sweet. Good afternoon.
3
Working
new
on it.
messages from Pokemon. Huh?
Hello. Anybody have time for an interview? Want to do it?
What is it?
We are just having friendly conversations with people, asking them to pick a topic, and we ask them questions about whatever their opinions are about it.
Wow.
We have a few topics here, or you can bring up anything you'd like.
Yeah. Any opinion you have.
Does it cost anything?
It's free. You have free water too.
Evolutions require
Sure.
any
Cool.
problem.
Thank you.
What do I do?
Feel free to sit down and yeah, recording consent.
Yeah. So is it okay we record?
That's fine.
Okay. It's going to be live on the internet.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Hopefully you're okay.
Okay.
Alright.
So I just ask a question?
Yeah, there's headphones. Right?
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Thank you.
So, hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Nya Kim.
Nyakim. Okay. And my name is Alex.
Hi,
And
Alex.
what would you like to talk about?
I would like to talk about, I guess, maybe happiness.
Happiness.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your opinions on?
It's N as in Nancy, Y, A, K, I, M as in Mary.
What would you like to tell us about happiness?
Well, I was actually hoping to hear more from you instead of speaking more.
Okay. Well, I think that it's good to be happy. But normally what we're looking for is some sort of opinion on a topic.
Oh my goodness.
Do you
Okay.
have any strongly held opinions about happiness or anything else?
Not aside from the idea that I feel like you have to possess happiness first in order to truly feel the joy in the world.
You have to possess the happiness
First.
first.
Yes.
What does it mean to possess happiness first?
I
before we feel-
believe that you have to find contentment or joy with or without things. I don't think it should be materialistic, although it's not to say that you can't. I believe materials add to the happiness that you already have.
Materials add to the happiness we already have.
Yes. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
I'm maybe you could clarify a little bit more. I'm just trying to fully grasp what you're telling me. Like, I can. You're saying that like materials add to some pre-existing happiness.
I agree. Yes. So
Okay.
I wish I would have kind of thought of this a little bit more before just hopping into this conversation.
No, it's fine. Please.
But I believe that sometimes people feel like they're really, really happy. Whether you have the job that you want, you have the lifestyle that you're kind of striving for, you graduated with the degree you wanted, and you feel like you're happy. And then something happens and all of a sudden you don't have that job that you always wanted, or if it's taken away from you all of a sudden,
Mhm.
you know, you're unhappy. Or maybe, and I apologize in advance if my thoughts are a little scattered.
No.
I feel like also sometimes people achieve all those things and still are not happy. There are people who have graduated with high degrees. There are people who have achieved the most amazing, I guess, awards in life, and they still find themselves almost like an emptiness inside of them. That doesn't cause their happiness. But then you go to places where people are living in much worse conditions than others. People are they lack food, they lack clean water, but they have the brightest smiles. And so I think it goes to show that that joy that they have is something they have first found in themselves. In myself, that would be God. I feel as though the Holy Spirit inside of me is that joy, where if I have or I don't have, I still possess that joy. It's not determined on what I gain per se. And I feel like once you find that, then when you do, let's say, have a nice job, have degrees, or when you add, it all adds on top of that joy, but it's not the fundamental joy. If that makes sense?
So, yeah, it kind of makes sense. So you're saying that there's some, because some people are not well off, but they can be happy, and some people are well off and they're not happy, right? That there must be some other thing that's making people happy. Now, you mentioned God there. Do you think that do you think that might be like the only source that could be used for this, or are you open to there being other ones, or how does that work exactly? Are you?
I would be open to hearing other ones, of course.
Okay.
I can only speak from my personal experience, and so that was my experience. But
Okay,
I've yet to find another secure foundation to place my joy or my happiness upon.
Okay. But do you believe that other people might find their joy or happiness elsewhere? Like that happens, is my question.
I believe you can find temporary happiness elsewhere.
Is temporary happiness different?
I agree. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what way is it different?
Because it's temporary.
Okay, fair. But how can we tell whether or not a happiness we're having from some source is temporary versus not temporary?
I think when whatever that source that's causing your happiness is taken away, and then you could tell if it was temporary or not.
Okay. And so this would be like those material things. You're saying if people didn't have those, they would still be happy. Okay. So if you didn't have your belief in God, would that make you very unhappy? Is that what you're saying?
No, I guess what I'm saying is, for example, I think it gives that consistent joy or that consistent happiness. Because even before I had found God, there are times where I'd be happy, but it was a lot more unsteady.
Nice.
It was just, yeah.
Okay. So in order to have consistent happiness, do you think it's required for any person to believe in God, or are you saying this is just your personal experience?
I do believe that it's required for someone to have a belief in God
Okay.
for that consistent happiness.
Okay. What led you to the conclusion that it wouldn't be possible from something else?
What led me to the conclusion?
Yeah.
I guess the reflection upon my own life and the lives of others that I've spoken to had led me to that conclusion.
Oh, we have an interesting question from the audience. They're asking, can other gods make you happy, or I guess other people?
I do believe that, yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be your god; it could be any god.
I would say that, yeah.
Okay. So, do you believe that these other gods also exist? Like, I guess we haven't asked about your god belief in particular.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of God do you believe in?
So I believe in Jesus.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So, so if somebody got their belief from, say, like, I guess, a Hindu god or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
they got their joy and happiness from that.
Mm-hmm.
Would they be getting their, like, would that be able to create a consistent happiness as well?
Well, I would need to interview someone who believes that, I suppose.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're saying you're not sure yet. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the live chat's also asking, does it matter if the God exists?
Does it matter if God exists?
If the God that we're getting our happiness from is like a real one?
I would say yes.
Oh, okay. In what way does it matter? Because, well, do you believe that these Hindu gods that I was using as an example before, do they exist?
In my opinion, I would say no.
Okay.
Mhm.
So how would it be different? Let's say somebody came along and they were like a deeply devout Hindu,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, I believe in, I think Shiva is a Hindu god. I'm sorry, I'm not super familiar.
Mm-hmm. They have many
Um,
gods, so yeah, that would be
yeah.
one of them.
And they said, I believe in Shiva, and that makes me very happy. I get great joy from that, and it's very
Mhm.
consistent joy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my personal experience.
Mhm.
How would you what would your reaction to that would be? Would that impact your confidence in any of this at all?
For me, no, it would not impact my confidence. It wouldn't cause me to doubt in my
Mhm.
own because my testimony is something that no one can shift.
Mhm.
Like I know the things that I've seen and I've heard and I've gone through in my own personal walk.
Mhm.
If someone genuinely feels that joy with whatever it is that they're believing, then I would lead them to that. If it's what brings them joy, it gives them purpose,
Okay.
then I would allow them to.
So, but
Mhm.
before you were saying it was important that the God exists, and I'm guessing you don't think Shiva exists. Maybe you do. I don't know.
I do not.
Okay. So if my question is basically, how is it different? Like what would be different about that situation?
I would say in this particular situation, the biggest difference is the name of the deity that you're worshiping. But as far as that devoutness towards whomever it is that you're worshiping, as far as the commitment to following whatever that path is that leads to joy, I believe that is the same.
The path is the same.
The path as far as the commitment to the deity that you're following, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry. What were you saying about what was the actual difference there? What
The
was-
difference is the name, I suppose,
Just the name?
of what you're
So-
following. Mhm.
So you think they would be following the same God? It's just under a different name.
No, but as far as that joy, that willingness to be like no matter what happens to me or what happens around me, but I'm going to continue to serve that God, and I'm going to continue to have that joy inside of my heart. That is the aspect that I'm saying is the same in this case, in this scenario.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. I'm a little bit distracted by some things. Could you repeat what you?
So, because you were saying what is the difference between me being wholeheartedly a follower of Jesus and someone being wholeheartedly a follower of another God, but still still keeping that same joy that I receive from following Jesus. I was saying the only difference, although the theologies are, because this is in terms of joy, not so much in terms of religion or right, but in the context of the joy that I'm feeling, that consistent joy, the similarity between me and someone who practices another faith would be that commitment towards putting a loss to everything around me and even to me myself for the sake of this joy that's inside of me. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. What's the live chat saying here? They're saying if you could find if you could find greater joy in a false belief, should you strive to believe that instead?
If you can find greater joy in a false belief?
Yes.
So is this in the sense of
so
that
the Hindu we're agreeing, well, we're saying that the Hindu has a false belief, but they're also finding joy in that. If it turns out, if we could somehow measure joy, and I'm not saying necessarily that we can, but if it turned out that there was more joy in believing in this false belief, should we strive to believe the false belief instead of the Jesus belief, or
is this in the sense of that false belief is your truth?
Your truth,
right? Is it, that false belief to you? You're viewing it as it's a true belief, correct? It's not in the context.
I presume the Hindu believes in Hinduism.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
So I think that because you're saying, should we then settle or be content with that, even if it's viewed as a false belief? Is that what you're saying?
I think what we're trying to get at is what the how important is the joy aspect to coming to a conclusion. Like, is it better to believe something because it brings us joy, or is it better to believe it because there's some kind of truth to it, or are those even dichotomous? Like, are they separate questions? Maybe they're the same question.
I would say it is. I think each individual would have to check their own heart on that. I feel if you are following something and you're following every rule from A to Z, but you are in constant emotional turmoil, you do not like what you're doing, but you're doing it because you have to. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's good. But if you are following something and you are finding joy in it, you're finding strength in it, then do it, essentially.
Okay. So even if the Hindu is believing something false, if they're finding a greater joy than they could find with Jesus, then they should keep believing in Hinduism. That's what I'm hearing.
What would be the alternative, I suppose?
Presumably that they come to believe Jesus, I guess.
And not find joy?
Well, I guess that would be the consequence in this hypothetical.
Then I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a fact of the matter about whether or not like one of those beliefs is true?
Is there a fact of the matter?
Yeah, like is one of these beliefs, if it comes down to how much joy we find in it, is there an actual, like, is one of those positions actually wrong and one of them right, or are they both equally valid because people can find joy in both of them?
I think it would depend on perspective. I suppose.
How so?
So I would say because I mean, if you were gonna do, I can't speak very much on, in this case, the Hindu or any other religion necessarily. I mean, I have a pretty basic view of other religions, but I'm by no means a theologian. Even in Christianity, I'm not a theologian. But I think that there are times where, even beyond the text, the human experience, I suppose, would be, I think that would speak louder than anything anyone else would be able to say, is your own personal experience within that religion. Yeah.
So personal experience is more important than what anybody has to say about about a text or any other religious tradition.
I suppose.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's not it. Okay. So people are asking me to do Tic Tacs.
What are TikToks?
So we have here a box of Tic Tacs. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it true? Is there like an actual fact of the matter about there being like an even or odd number of Tic Tacs in this box?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
Hmm.
There could be neither of those features?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Yes. So there's either an odd or an even amount. Yes.
Okay. And there's like, if somebody came along and said it's my personal truth
Hmm.
that there's an even number of Tic Tacs in there,
Hmm.
could that person be wrong?
There's a chance that they could be wrong. Yeah.
Okay. And so then the question with the Hindu God and the Jesus is, is it like those Tic Tacs? Is it in the same way where somebody is actually wrong about that situation?
Hmm.
Okay. Is it more important to find joy or to have the correct conclusion about what's going on?
I would say to have. I think it depends on the person. In my perspective, I would say that truth would be more important. But to someone else, they might want to enjoy the ride and have that happiness.
Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know if I have any more.
Okay, which is all right.
Do you have any questions for us? Or
for
me?
you? Yeah, I would just like to know more about just this entire setup. Like, what is it that you guys do? What is
So,
the? Mhm.
I mean, we do what we just did with you. We
Mhm.
just like to ask people their opinions about things
Mhm.
and find out more about how they come to those conclusions and what exactly they're, what they mean by certain things and that sort of thing. And
Okay. What was the?
try to encourage people to reflect on the reasons for why they believe things. Yeah.
That's good. And how did it all start out?
Well, there was a book written by a philosopher named Peter Boghossian,
Mhm.
and that kind of put forward this idea about how to have conversations with people with about what they believe and why they believe it.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for having
There-
this conversation. Mhm.
Yeah. There are 3 puzzle pieces in front of you. You are free to take one of those, any color you like. And if you come back for another, if you ever want to talk again,
Mhm.
at least as long as we're here, you can get more of them and maybe complete the set. And also there are business cards over there for Cordial Curiosity is the YouTube channel where there's a lot of conversations like these.
Very nice. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
No problem. Thank you guys. Have a nice day, guys.
Thank you. Would you like we have more. Would you like a mask with a not broken side? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh,
Broken.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, man.
Oh.
Thank you. Return.
All right.
We're not rigid about that stuff. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Is it a standard seat?
I did not wipe down anything.
I wiped down that. Oh, okay. There's a fresh one if you want to.
You wiped down the.
I wiped down the headset. And yeah, I guess I wiped down whatever piece.
The Tic Tacs. Oh, you wiped down the headset. Well, I just touched it. All right.
Yeah, eventually you once it's just accepted that there's a room where people do see.
Is this battery working?
Disembodied crowd.
So, for anyone watching, we're live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Feel free to join us on Discord to be part of these conversations and send questions directly to our speakers.
How do you like this setup? This is the live stream coming in. I like that. Yes, this is the stream. This is the stream. So here's the live show check. And for example, I'm going to type waiting for the computer. And then because Reed is one of the production crew, 12 a.m., then I could hit play and waiting on the picture locator and turning off. So what's this? I really want to put that. Right, anybody can type.
Because people have better things to do on a Saturday. What is today? Sunday. On a Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't really learned to speak while maintaining eye contact very well. So all the time, when I read, like, I go, like, read the entire sentence. I have that kind of reading those at the same
To what end?
Just to chat with people.
What should we chat about?
Whatever.
And he's got a PC plug-in with a lot of difficult.
I don't really have very many claims that I can think of. I'm real terrible at this.
The OBS reset here.
Maybe we could explore and ask some probing questions that might stimulate me.
Oh, here.
I'm good.
How do you feel about this? Does that work?
It's good.
Okay. Headset. Ivy would like to speak with you.
You cannot stream into this channel, it says.
Disconnect me from Discord there, because when I take this off, it'll make sound.
Oh.
Even if you turn the volume all the way down, it still makes sound. Finally got a haircut. I don't hear
I'm here.
anything.
Oh, I got camera now.
There you go.
Okay. No worries. I got nothing immediately I can think of. I did, however, just to do a little bit of opening and communication, I thought it was pretty funny. I made a joke earlier about Among Us read, and I said to someone that you would be really good at that with your sort of monotone poker face, you know?
Yeah, Among Us. Do people see their video or no? Just audio?
I don't know. I'm not worried about it personally. I think FK is working on it.
I mean, on Among Us, when people play, I assume they chat with other players. Is it only on video? Is it only on audio for Among Us?
No,
or
they
do
don't
you
use
also see
video. They
on
only
Among
use their
Us?
voice, I believe. So
Okay, so I guess my monotone just acts like a poker face in audio form as well.
it just becomes harder to read. They make a
That
pun
makes sense.
intended.
Read. It's unreadable.
Cool.
So
Yes, I
I
see
don't
that you
know.
hang out on the SE Discord all the time. How's it
Yes, it's been going pretty well.
going? I assume you have a bunch
I
of
don't.
interesting conversations
Oh.
with people.
Yes.
Any
I'm trying to
interesting
think
ones
of
in the
a.
recent past?
I'm reading your mind right now. I have 100% confidence in that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I've had interesting conversations. I can't think of any at the immediate moment. There is one, perhaps I could come up with. I was talking to a guy. He believes in euthanasia. He works closely with patients who are dying, and talked to him about his beliefs about that and how he came to that conclusion. But there was a fun little inquiry because it's been a conversation that's been happening over time. And I got to ask them and change it. So let's just change it so the person isn't dying, but just because of and I'm going to expedite, the story here, but just because of their negative experience, the person might have cancer and dying and they're just ready to die. Let's just say that instead of cancer, it is just something in one body part, in one leg, perhaps. Maybe they just disassociate from that leg for whatever reason, and it causes them distress to the point where they no longer identify with it. Would it be okay then to remove that leg, similar to removing a person's life if all we're doing is just removing this negative, and I can't think of exact words they use, but experience.
Yeah, that's what you talked with that person about?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you're asking for my opinion about that?
No, not necessarily. I was just telling you, you asked the question about any
Yeah.
interesting conversations, and I just provided one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah. I don't know what the limits are for euthanasia, but that's an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look into it more. I assume
I'm the same way.
bare minimum, a few
It's fun to
trials of
talk to
doctors and
people.
getting- Yeah.
It's fun to, sorry, I think
Yeah,
there's
it
some
is.
lag sometimes. It's fun to talk to people and learn about things that I've not personally learned much about. And like you were saying that you would need to look into the conversation a bit more, or at least just some knowledge about it. I'm the same way. Like I haven't developed a great feeling of opinion on it.
Yeah, it's not to not have to have strong opinions on things you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Makes this job easier too.
It does.
This hobby. Oh, Rottweiler.
Well, I was just sort of roped into this, so I don't know if I've killed enough time for you to find another interlocutor, but I'm ready to go whenever you need me.
Okay. We're just waiting. Got tons of people walking by.
So what is your system for getting people? I've been curious about that. And I know this has been a sort of work in progress with some other epistemologists, and I'm just curious, how, does one of you go prime them and then bring them over? I don't.
I think we have someone.
Oh,
Yeah, this
Auf Wiedersehen.
is working. All right, thanks.
You guys got like a podcast here or something?
Basically, yeah.
All right.
How are you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Great.
All right, let me get all my shit situated.
I like your shirt.
Oh, there's the cans. All right.
Yeah. We just sanitize them with some wipes, so it should
I
be
trust
fine.
you. I trust you.
All right, thank you so much.
All
Sitting
right.
down.
Yeah.
Gotta get your first name.
Riley, R-I-L-E-Y.
R what?
R-I-L-E-Y.
Okay. Gotcha. I think someone already typed it. Great. So, do you mind if we record? Is that okay?
If we have a what?
If we record and stream.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't mind. I'll give
Thanks.
you my full whatever that
Do you mind
is.
to hit the GoPro record button on the top
That
there?
top thing?
Yeah. And I think this was there. Amazing. So yeah, we just have these casual, nice chats with people about whatever they want to talk about. Did you see the topics over there, or did you want to bring up something?
I think I walked by a little bit ago, but you had someone, so I forgot what was on there.
Okay.
What's something nobody's brought up yet?
We can
What's something someone's afraid of?
show you the sign, or we can bring up any topic really.
Well, yeah. What's something that someone doesn't want to talk about? What's someone?
Yep.
What has no one picked on there?
What has no one picked on there? There's some are pretty fresh.
Hmm.
So maybe those two.
Is revolution required? All right, revolution. I guess. I mean, I'm not a politician, and a lot of these are, or you
Ideally,
know, an
something you
economist.
have a strong opinion about,
Yeah, I guess.
one way or the other.
Yeah, revolution is all right. I can go with that, and I guess some of these other things might come into that as well. But it seemed, well, I don't know what you just want random people to just start talking.
Yeah, I'll ask some questions.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll get their, I'll get clarity on what they mean by the claim and what the words mean in the claim,
All right.
what their confidence is in the claim, specific claim, and
All
the
right.
reasons. And then, if you want, we can explore the quality of the reasons and how we could test this claim and how we could change our confidence.
Yeah, that's fair.
basically how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, revolution sounds pretty intense. Like when you think of revolution, you're thinking of like slave revolts and like, people are dying. That's kind of the goal, is that certain people die, right?
I only put that question on there because of the past few months, and it's just been getting a little more tense in the country. So some people are saying, up to this point, possibly we need like a revolution to solve some problem. I kept it vague and open.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a gun nut. I mean, I think guns are fun to shoot. It's not a very good idea to have a lot of them in a country like this, but I mean, you get these people who are like, oh, the Second Amendment is to help protect against tyrannical governments, and then whatever they want to define that as. But Jim Bob Jones in Arkansas isn't going to stop the U.S. military, who's got like drones and tanks. Like, I mean, I guess it's a bit of a stretch to think that the military would go to such far aggressive tactics against their own civilians. But what do you expect?
Yeah, is that what revolution means to you? At least some meaning of it, where the government itself tries to change itself, and they have the military. Is that the revolution you're thinking of?
Well, when I think revolution, I'm thinking like people. It's a hopefully a what do they call that? A grassroots movement.
Grassroots.
Hopefully it's not a
regular
coup.
citizens.
Yeah.
uprising.
Regular citizens bringing it up, and I mean, I don't think no matter what happens, the rate that our country's discord is going at, I don't think that any one of these groups is going to just start a revolution or start serious rioting. Like, people say that, oh, it's rioting going on. And I guess technically that's the definition, but it's not like they're not dragging people out of the,
So now we know what revolution means.
Yeah.
For the question, I think it was,
right.
Is revolution required to solve any problem in the U.S. right now? Where would you put your current confidence about that? If all the way to the left is absolutely no, or all the way to the right is absolutely yes?
Yeah, I'm
or
probably
not sure, or anywhere in between.
Probably not too sure. I mean, it would solve like if there's a revolution and there's a possibility that it could succeed, I guess. But it's solving the issue in a way that, you know, you're solving it like a drunk frat guy at a party, like just punching the guy in the face to stop the verbal argument. You're solving the problem like we solved World War II by nuking two cities. Like it's not the best. It's not the best method.
Not the ideal method.
No.
For solving the problem.
Yeah.
What problem is on the table that needs a revolution to solve it? Do you think?
I wouldn't recommend a revolution to solve any problem, but I mean, if you think of what other people might think of as problems for revolution,
what's like the top
probably
2 to 3 or 1?
Probably racial equality, police
brutality.
Police brutality, yeah. It seems like that's something that people would. I mean, we've seen people come to the streets pretty hard for that.
Yeah.
Already, likely the biggest protest we've seen in history, and so if anything's going to start escalating, it's probably going to be that
police brutality issue.
Yeah, or the other people who are counter-protesting from that. Yeah, and that seems like a sticky situation. I don't think those people are really. It's hard to get some people to agree with another person's opinion, or at least allow it to happen when they're crossing state borders with an AR-15 that they're not even supposed to have. Like at that point, that person is probably not going to listen to too much reason.
Okay, so now we have a specific problem. Let's translate the question into: is revolution required to solve police brutality in the U.S.? Same confidence?
Not required. No.
Not required.
No, I don't think anything is. I don't think anything really just in the U.S. I don't think there are any problems in the U.S. that require revolution. That seems like a bit of a stretch. Like maybe you can solve the issue that way, but I don't think you should.
What's your main reason for that? Just to make it obvious.
It's. I mean, yes, throwing all the capitalists under the guillotine might solve all of our economic issues, but you're still murdering people. Like it's wrong. It's wrong. Essentially, revolution requires the death of a certain group to a certain extent, right?
So what I'm hearing you say is a means to an end is not like a ethical principle to go by.
I guess that's putting it much better. Yeah, than I could.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing what you say right. So, same confidence for that required for police brutality?
Well, required, not at all. I mean,
not at all.
Negative. I don't even know. Yeah.
And your reason for that is it's like a means to an end is not a good principle to go by. Any other reasons?
No, it's just, I mean, I don't think that the argument really needs to go past that. Once you've got that, like we think, why is murder wrong? Well, it's wrong morally, I don't think my thought process doesn't go past that usually. Once it's like, oh, is this right or wrong? I don't think, there's not too much more to think about there.
Gotcha. Hypothetically, what could raise our confidence about it? What would need to be the case, even like the, far out
for revolution to happen?
Yeah, for us to raise our confidence about police brutality. How bad would police brutality have to be in order for us to be a little bit more confident about potentially using a revolution to fix that problem?
I mean, geez, it's pretty bad. Of course, things could always get worse, but I mean, I could see the rate of how things are going now just continuing for another decade or two, and people might eventually get really sick of it. We might have some, I don't think that it's likely that there's going to be like an armed group that's going to plan on bombing certain like police stations or something. I don't think, or just armed revolution. I don't think there is likely to be a large group, maybe a small group of terrorists, which they technically would be at that point, might pop up, but I see it more of like if it continues down that path, it'd be like a lone wolf scenario. But yeah, yeah, if things get worse, I could see it possibly popping into people's heads. I'm sure it's popping into people's heads now. I'm sure people are thinking, I'm sure there are plenty of people who would have seen that and said, yeah, we definitely need a revolution to stop police brutality. It just depends on who you are. Yeah.
Okay. So you're currently at the bottom of the confidence for that.
Yeah. For it requiring it, I'm going to say a no.
What would you need to see to raise your confidence even slightly up a little bit? What would have to be the case?
Oh, for me to justify a revolution?
Yeah, even like just being at 1%, not like 0%.
Yeah, I guess if it got any worse, I mean, we're seeing unarmed shootings, completely unjustifiable unarmed shootings.
If we had one of those like once a week or
I mean,
once a day.
I'm sure if you told me even the facts about how often it's happening, I'm sure it would
I have
both.
no idea what
Yeah,
the stats
no,
are.
I get that. But if someone told me that what it was, I'm sure it would both surprise me and I'd also say, yeah, okay, that sounds about right, or based off how much we hear it. But I mean, the what are they when there were the protests and we had unbadged, unnumbered agents, pulling people off the streets in vans, not properly arresting them. That is a point that you'd think people would really open their eyes to the degradation of the American values and such. But I guess that wasn't enough. So I mean, for me personally, if that became a regular thing, that would really, that would further cement the idea that America is slipping into its own brand of fascism.
It would just need to be a lot worse, more police brutality, more often, in more cases, in more places.
At a certain point, even if it got that bad, I'm sure I'd still, half of me would think that, yeah, it's required, but then the other half, it's a heavy decision.
Yeah, that's like
That's not a revolution.
Revolution seems to be like the last resort.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so now we have a whole other topic of like how to solve police brutality. We don't have to go there. Any other thoughts about this question about revolution being required to solve any problem like police brutality?
Oh, I mean, you usually see revolutions, we think of like ours, which, to be fair, probably a lot worse now than it was when we were under British control. Like they revolted based off of like no representation in Parliament and taxation. Like we have places that we don't represent properly in our legislature, and I'm sure there are plenty of unfair tax policy. Geez, I'm not an economist, so I couldn't comment too well on that, but it always seems like a last resort, like slave revolts and the Russian Revolution and all of these things. They do seem like, they seem like last resorts, and I'm not sure that we're there yet. Our cost of living, but our living standard is pretty good here. We do have good medical care, and we do have. It's not that bad for a lot of people to the point where they can point the finger at one thing. Definitely, there's too many. The problems are too spaced out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's our topic about that.
All right.
Thank you so much for the conversation.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll be here all day. And we might be back at some point. We're usually in Los Angeles. This setup.
Oh, really? Okay.
We just stopped by to help our friend out to do it in person today.
That's cool. All right.
And we have a bunch of places where we live stream this. Feel free to take a card. And we usually offer one of these little puzzle pieces for people to come back and have more conversations. But we most likely won't be here for at least a month or so.
Oh, okay.
But I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. Remember to get that?
I'll get it.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for the water.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you.
I'm going to. Good. Yes, I do.
Okay, I'll be back. I'm learning facilities.
Do you like these?
I've got higher pods.
Okay. I'll leave them for Kimberly. Dolly, yes. Reed's phone is the wide shot. Reed, where I was sitting was using Reed's iPad, and so I was typing as Reed, and now you could reset him back to being Reed Nice Wonder. Who is who? I am now back to being Dolly or Juggling Lessons. Yes? I did. Yep, that was the first thing I addressed.
Should
Okay.
have this back.
Yep, you can have that back. You know what? Alcohol wipes clean this stuff off.
What?
Alcohol wipes are good for cleaning the gunk off.
Oh, nice. Did this mess up the wide shot?
I don't see. Yeah, I don't see any interference on the wide shot. The wide shot looks good to me. Your baseball cap is still working really well. Ah.
How's it going? How's it going? Any opinions on these topics? We're just having nice conversations with people today, letting people pick a topic or anything they want to talk about, and then we just ask questions to get their perspective on it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Want to give it a shot?
So do I have to sit there? Or?
Yeah, feel free to sit down and we'll chat with you for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, sure. That's okay.
Want to pick one of these or something else? Or he can ask you about what you want to talk about.
Oh, you can ask more ones? Or?
Yeah, he has more that he can prompt you.
Sure,
with.
anything you like.
Yeah,
Think of anything you come up with. We also have lots of suggestions. So we're live streaming. Are you okay with being recorded and broadcast?
That's fine, yeah.
Cool. We just wiped those down with alcohol, so they should be nice and clean.
Okay, cool.
The headset?
Yeah. Oh, I have to. Okay.
Don't have to, but it works.
Okay.
It's and we just cleaned them really carefully.
Okay.
What's your name? How would you first name?
First name is Finch.
Finch.
Yeah, Fanch.
Okay. Hello, Finch. I'm Dolly, D-A-L-I. That's
Hi.
Reed.
Hi.
Tell me a thing you think is true in the world, or if you have any of those things that were interesting to you.
So a thing that I think is true or should be promoted, or
Sure.
Well, I guess just like now in 2020, the topic of being defensive of like your moral beliefs and your physical beliefs and everything in between, and I guess just like in the year 2020, not in my life have I seen so much how am I gonna put this? So much defense of ideals and defense of and like just as we all know, the world is kind of different things are being contrasted, and it's kind of a huge just a huge explosion of different opinions and facts and stuff, and yeah, so it's I guess just my anyway.
So I'm hearing the observation that in this current year, different than prior years, people are defending their positions, defending their beliefs and ideals a lot more than they have in the past.
Yeah, I feel like definitely in previous years we've been kind of in this neutral zone where there's not there's not that much, like, I guess it's because, there hasn't been a pandemic, and there hasn't been things that aren't necessarily like a byproduct of human intention, but things that kind of threaten, this core foundation that we rely on as like an American society, or more specifically a worldly society. So we all these building blocks are kind of put in place, and now in 2020, at least I've seen, there's been huge destabilization. There's ideals that kind of shift and I think people are now kind of coming out of the woodworks and confronting these ideals that we've accepted for so long. So so you were asking me if there was something I thought would be true in 2020?
Well, I think the thing you're saying is true, is that people are much more defensive about their ideals now than before. And I think you've given that the cause might be pandemic, that people are moving into this mode. They're stuck indoors and have time to think about their political will, and I'm going to go online and yell at people.
I think it was, well, at least for me anyways, I think it was more of people were silent because there wasn't really that much of an initiative. There wasn't a push forward. Like, I think these problems have always existed in society, of course. And I just think, like, because of something that was unparalleled to humans, or maybe it was attributed to humans, but it wasn't something that we could have necessarily had control over, just me and you. But since it has made its way into, I think, also all these little issues that have been pushed off to the side because of current conditions have kind of been brought into the attention because there's a huge pandemic going around, and people feel the need now more than ever to go out in the streets and shout from the rooftops that these issues are arising. So, stuff like segregation and stuff like mistreatment of different groups and ideals and beliefs. And of course, with the presidential election going on, I also feel like the contrast and the clash between people having different political views and then people just having views of humanity in general is such a prevalent issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this better or worse?
You mean before this was all happening?
Right. I mean, not talking about the pandemic, but in terms of people's defending their ideals, is this a better thing in 2020 than it was 5 years ago? Is this better for us to do, is the idea?
I think being in complacency, being comfortable with the neutral amount of things that are going on, not really getting anywhere, but not really going back or slinking into chaos either. I think being complacent with I don't know if complacent is the right word, but being complacent with the situation you have in is fine, I guess, as long as it's not something you grow accustomed to. But I think, honestly, I think this explosion of negativity and also positivity has really been an art form of its own, because it really shows us kind of I think confrontation, or in specifically right now in 2020, this clashing of ideals has heightened us more as a society and gained more overall knowledge through the public as being complacent, or more than being complacent.
Okay.
I think if this pandemic wouldn't have happened, there wouldn't be so much knowledge going around of public image or different morals, and if they are to be examined or if they are to be, debunked. I think this wouldn't have happened. And I think complacency is obviously all right, but I just don't think it would be viable in the long run. I think this is great. I think having this confrontation in society so that we can ask those big questions is huge.
Okay. Is there a downside? It seems like you're pretty thumbs up on it.
There is a downside, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be thumbs up on many things, but if I want to examine a downside...
And I don't mean exclusively. You seem to be positive. You seem to say that this is a better thing than not doing it. I'm trying to come from a very neutral place here.
Yeah, I would argue that, because I also want to try and be neutral. I think that's a good idea. I think the downside is, as I said, there's just more chaos. And I don't think... in society, we always have different class structures, and no matter how nice we are or how evil we are, we still fall into those categories of having a better paying job, or being, like, I don't know, like going to a certain school, or being enrolled in a specific service. But I think the bad part would be not to say that this is like something which should be stopped, but people who are comfortable with the ideals and the place that they've been put in like the long scale of life, when that is kind of clashed with all of these ideals from people that have been put at a lesser state or a higher state, it kind of becomes confrontational, because people feel like, sorry, there's something going on. People feel like, well, anybody in society who's in a certain point in their life wants to feel like they've gotten there because they put in work, and
they want to give themselves credit.
Yeah, I mean, that's just to feel good about yourself.
That is the default easy way to feel good, is to blame yourself for your success.
And I think more specifically now, I think people who were all right with being where they are in society, now that all of these new issues are arising and things are getting brought attention to, they feel like, well, hold on, I know that's an issue, but because it creates more confrontation. People, because now it's a question of people are trying to prove, and I'm sure that this is right in some regard, but people are trying to give explanation to the fact that we all aren't equal, and there is huge injustice in the world, and there's huge injustice in America specifically. There's things that shouldn't be for different class structures. Like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I think I know there's still really good people in the world that live in these specific groups, but I think the way we've done it in order to expose huge, flaws in our society has kind of made them feel like in a different category. Felt like they're off to the side, and instead of for most of their life believing that they've been in this group that they're comfortable with, being in a neutral group. But now everything's kind of shifted, and there's more categories being thrown around. People get put into different categories, and people don't like that. Yeah.
I have a question from the audience.
Okay.
What would your idea? Yeah, I know there's an audience. You forget. What would be your ideal solution for this defensiveness?
You mean ideal solution for this? Yeah.
Like, what could we adopt as a society that would, if we all heard it and at least some of us adopted it, would be a solution to reduce the defensiveness in terms of its negative effect?
I think a good global scope. I really don't like to say this, but if you put yourself, well, I guess I could say it. If you put yourself out, like if you are able to separate your mind from your body in terms of what clothes are you wearing, what's your skin color, what eye color do you have, what job do you have?
Oh, so if I were able to disconnect myself from those external signs that people see,
which is impossible really to believe.
Okay.
Because we're all.
I can only pretend. I can only simulate. I can only guess.
I can't. I really myself. I could never imagine what it's like to be you or to be the person, like anybody. I can only imagine what it's like to be me. And I really, all of my ideals of life have been formed by what I know and who I am physically. Okay. But I think being able to, at least in part, have an existential separation from your body and put yourself into these situations where you're getting negativity from, because you don't understand that. You tend to be, like if from the logic from growing up, you're only really able to form opinions about other things from your experiences. So, and that's kind of awful, because the experiences that other people have formed that you're forming opinions on now are entirely different from what you perceive them to be, because they're other people's experiences.
Yeah.
So, and sorry, I'm tripping up on my words there.
It's not a problem.
But
take all the time you need.
Let me go to my solution. As I said, obviously it's very hard to think about what the situation would be in somebody else's shoes, because it you would never be there. You could never in a million years, no matter how much you change, be in that situation, because it happened in that point in time.
Sure. In terms of precision, I'm completely with you. So I'm interested in how different until it matters. How different, and I mean, like, if I had a twin brother,
Yeah.
it's true that I couldn't, but boy, 99% I could, right?
Yeah.
And if I had somebody who is just the average other human in this world, there's a lot that I wouldn't, because we'd probably not care. There'd be a lot of things we wouldn't hold in common.
Yeah.
If I just pick someone at random. How different does it have to be before it matters? Is there a similarity enough to where we could say, all right, it's close enough, I don't have to concern myself with the difference, or I could imagine the difference, and then some that are far enough apart that it's just like, wow, I really shouldn't even think that I know anything about it.
Well, I think a good way, and I said like this before, I think in any situation, even if it is a twin brother, like from the minute you're born, you all go off.
Sure, there's a divergence, no question.
Different trees of life. So when it becomes an argument of, I know not.
Hello, we're back.
Oh,
had a brief mixer dropout, and I will move to the wide camera. Okay, and I'm going to resume recording. And I'm resuming the recording on the mixer. I'm stopping that. I'm going to grab a fresh project so that I can't possibly overwrite the existing one. That was a weird kind of reset. Recording on the mixer, this is November 15th, Sunday. Second take, we had a strange little dropout that I don't understand. So here we are, back on. Thank you. Where were we before we were so rudely interrupted by all this technical...
That's fine. That's technology in 2020.
Yeah, it happens.
Is it charging?
It has to be. Yes, it is. It has power.
Okay.
I don't actually think that the battery failed. It seemed I don't think that was it. I never went to a battery indicator. So it may be a different problem. We'll find out. That's the first time that has behaved like that.
All right.
That I'm aware of. Anyway, we're back. We can ignore the mixer now.
I forgot what we were talking about. So,
okay.
Let me try and remember. So
the last question that we were talking about was what would be your best solution for reducing the... I was thinking of it as friction, but it's the disagreement, the difficulties, the downside that comes from having defending an idealism, and it was defensiveness. So there was two different forms of defending.
I was kind of rambling on, so I'll try and answer as concisely as I can. So the defensiveness or the defensiveness of ideals.
Okay.
So I think a huge part of how to lessen that is, like a lot of people, when I talk to a lot of people on their beliefs of like cultures and ideologies and civilizations, and how they can get a more exclusive or a more encompassing view of that. They usually say, travel a bunch, go to, different, but that's physical, like go to different, cities,
visit all other cultures, get to learn and know other people and accept them. And it makes it much harder to ever go to war with them.
And that's 100% true.
Yeah.
I think if you if you're in those cultures where you are the minority there, you are the one who has the different culture and is surrounded by things that are different to you. So I think that's a huge part of it. But say you don't have those capabilities, and say, you know, you live in America and for the next 5 years you're going to still be living in America.
Yes.
A great way to, and I think this is very prevalent in 2020, a great way to get those ideals is to go on the internet, but don't just go on the internet, because people go on the internet and, you know, it's a shit show. Sorry.
Sure.
But I think a great way is to be media literate. So like to hone on media literacy. Yes. And I think media literacy is a huge thing we need to focus on in 2020, because like social media, to people who, you know, didn't go on social media for most of their life, or which is to people who are just kind of being introduced to this online platform, like most people who are now doing all their jobs online, it can be quite a shock to see all this like false information, and then all of this true information, and then all of this hurtful content, and all these things that kind of challenge what you knew about.
Oh, you've seen Twitter. Oh, sorry. Yes.
To challenge all these things that you knew about, you know, the world in general. When you have an ideal of what the world that you live in, when you see all of these like way different posts and tweets and, you know, things that are just kind of like, why should I be exposed to this? You kind of curl up in a little ball. You don't really want all these like huge information beating down on you, so you kind of get defensive. You get in this little circle where you only let things from certain sources, like your Facebook groups, or certain sources like what your friends are saying, come into your bubble. But I think a huge part of it is media literacy, and that is being able to be online and critique, and to, you know, have not a bubble, but a special plate of armor to when certain ideals and when certain opinions come your way, you don't just shut them out.
Yeah.
You interpret them, and then, not to say you come back with a response, but you have you interpret them, and you ingest them into your kind of psyche, and you have a more well-rounded approach to them, even if they're negative. Say they are negative, but just to make sure that you at least listen, and before you kind of slink back into this shell I was talking about, you at least expose yourself to the negative, and being able to kind of reciprocate it back out as a positive. So you internalize it and you externalize it.
So this is like the anthropologist from Mars idea. So I'm showing up and I have not been exposed to your media at all, and you say, get media literate, and I would say, can you give me a top 3 ways in which I can do that?
Oh, you're asking me the question?
How do I get media literate, assuming that I don't know how already?
So how to be media literate?
Yeah.
So
what are top, three good strategies?
I think a good way is to first, of course, find media that you don't know already that you love. So not just things,
some you don't already know you agree with.
So find something on the internet, because I mean, look, like say people like my age who are, I'll say my age, but 20, we've been kind of, at least for people starting from where I'm born, we've been kind of accustomed to the internet for all of our lives. So, and I'm not discrediting anybody else, because people have been on the internet for forever. But I think to find things on the internet that like hold extreme relevance to the situation that you're living in, that things that you can immediately relate to is great, because then it doesn't put you in this situation where you feel like the internet as a whole is a bad thing.
Right. You don't want to associate all of it with its worst.
And then segueing into the second topic, I would feel not just being on the internet, but being in real life is a great way to hone your media literacy, because then it's less of only contributing things from an internet source, which can get overwhelming at times. I know a lot of people feel the internet can be like this huge thing, but it is. And I think being able to compare what you see on the internet to real world scenarios and contrast back and between the forth is huge. I think, yeah, exactly. So I think at least having an outside perspective and then putting it within an inward perspective is great, because it definitely mixes things up a bit. And then maybe the third I would say is let me think about this. I think a third would be to, as I was saying before, looking outward on yourself. Be hypercritical of the things you are saying. So when you see a post that is controversial, maybe in the slightest to your beliefs or the beliefs you've been taught, even if you don't say anything, imagine yourself commenting on that post and think about what you would say. To that, so something that is hateful, something that is derogatory.
Yeah.
Think about what you would say in that moment to that post if you were just